Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead on Porch Time today. The subject today is one that I've struggled with quite some time now, and it's one that I wanted to talk about, and it's one I think that's beneficial, one I think that really needs to be talked about. And the subject is going to be when things don't go the way you planned. That's kind of a subject that I've had to deal with for quite some time now, and I want y'all to understand that when I do porch time, what I'm telling y'all is not stuff that's just created. It's usually something that's very personal to me. It's usually something that has either happened to me or something I've lived through or something I've experienced. It's usually all true stories. I don't just make up content. I hate the word content creator because I'm not a content creator. I tell you events and things that I've experienced in life. Now, if that is content that has been created, I mean, maybe I've got it all wrong, but I'm not just going out here creating some kind of content. These are actual, true facts about life. And that's what I like about doing porch time. It allows me to get out here and it allows me to sit down with y'all, talk to you one-on-one, and maybe be a blessing to you. Now, when things don't go the way you plan, now if somebody had told me 5 years ago that I'd be sitting here doing this, I would have laughed at them, because I'm going to be 100% honest with y'all. Computers is one thing I just don't like. I called myself being as far out of the system as I could. I don't have a checking accounts. I don't have credit cards. I don't do all these things because I wanted as far out of the system as I could get. And my children laugh at me today because they go, "Dad, I can't believe that I would ever in my life see you doing videos and movies for the world to see." And I tell them, one of the reasons I do it is I want to leave a legacy for my children. I want them to be able to, as I've told y'all in my other videos, I want my children to be able to look back and if they need to know how their daddy or their grandfather done something, then they can pull it up on YouTube if it's still available. And so that's a part of my life that didn't go the way I planned. A few years, less than 5 years ago, I was as strong and healthy as I could be. I could do anything I wanted to do. It was one of those things. I had all these plans for my life that I was going to do on a homestead. I had set my homestead up a certain way, and I was going to do things a certain way, and I had it in my mind that this is the way life would be for me. Until I got to be extremely old, I understood that once I got to be real old, I might not be able to get out and do a few of the things that I wanted to do, but I just I didn't think anything about it. And if y'all hear these dogs barking in the background, my neighbor just come home and he's got deer dogs and they're ready to be fed. So I have a problem with this right now, and I guess they call it maybe it's going through the change of life, maybe being a guy, but I still see myself as being younger. I'm not quite 60 years old yet, but I never saw myself at this age not being able to get out and do the things that I wanted to do. And on a homestead, let's just be honest about this. On my homestead here, I have a lot of problem with sadness because of that. And if y'all could sit down and talk to Wanda, she'd tell you that many times I sit inside and I'm completely angry. I'm frustrated because I cannot get out and do what I want to do. The heat is one of the big factors here. Now, today is October the 10th. It started off this morning at 60 degrees here. Right now, it's 87 degrees. 87 degrees according to that thermometer with a heat index of 93 degrees. October the 10th. That's still what we're dealing with here. Now, I can't take the heat anymore. I have a problem with heat. And when it gets to be this hot, and I get outside and start doing something, my health starts failing me. I start getting where I tremble and I shake, and I get lightheaded. All these kind of things start happening to me, something that I've never experienced in my life. And that frustrates me because there's so much on my homestead I want to get done. I've been so waiting since the 1st of June. I have been waiting for it to cool off so I could get outside and actually start doing some things. Now, when I get out and do these videos, we're out extremely early in the morning, and I just fight to get them done because of the heat. And then I usually end up in the house for several hours a day because I can't get out and do anything in the heat anymore. And that's that bothers me really a lot because I never saw myself coming to this point. But on the other hand, I don't quit homesteading because of it. The main reason is because life goes on. I mean, we have to understand, Wanda and I, if we're going to eat, if we're going to continue our life as homesteaders, we have to keep going. Even though I don't feel good, I have to keep going. And it's very debilitating to a man when he can't do the things he likes to do. And that's when things don't go the way you planned. What do you do then? Well, what I do is I set new goals for myself. I change the way I do things. I change my schedules, and I know I've had a lot of people comment and go, well, I just can't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, I don't like having to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, but because of a physical issue I have I wake up every morning with my gut growling and all this kind of problems, like I'm starving to death. Since I took my gallbladder out, I have all these issues now. I don't have a choice. I'm going to be up anyway. So I get up and I go ahead, and Wanda gets up with me. I fix breakfast every morning, and we eat early, and we're usually out the door before it ever gets real good daylight. And a lot of people go, well, I just like to sleep. Well, I get my sleep during the middle of the day now usually, because when I come in, it's so hot outside, I can't do anything else outside anyway. Even in my shop with the fan going, it gets so hot that I just get winded, and I have to come in, and I'll take what I call a power nap during the day, and that kind of helps get me through things. So what do? We change our schedule around to compensate for changes in life. Changes in health issues. When your life don't go the way you had it planned and there's some kind of health issues pops up, well, we make changes in our life to compensate for these things. Now, we don't quit doing homesteading, we just make changes, because, my friend, life is about change. There's one thing in life you can say that is always going to happen, and that is there's going to be change. And that's one thing that we have to understand, because it's human life to love routines. I love a routine life. I love knowing what I'm going to be doing every day. I love having a specific routine, and to an extent I do have a specific routine that I always do. I mean, my animals have to be fed early in the morning. I mean, it's things like that. It has to be done. But the thing that I love about being an at-home homesteader, not having to get up and go to a job somewhere, is that I'm flexible. We're always asked by several people, do you mind if a subscriber comes to your house? Well, that's one of the beauties that Wanda and I have. We've had many subscribers and YouTubers come to our homestead since we've been doing this. We've had some this week. We've got another one this week coming. We love that. We love the interaction between us and fellow homesteaders. And a lot of them have driven from long distances to come. And that that's encouraging to me, because I mean it really blesses Wanda and I when this happens. So with us being an at-home homesteader, that's one of the beauties of it. There's a certain flexibility that goes with that allows you to have that sense of freedom that I think God intended for us to have in this life. Because you see, I always relate things back to the Bible. The Bible says that, a borrower is a servant to a lender. Now, when you go and you borrow tons of money for things, then you become a servant to that person until that debt is paid, and the Bible says rightfully so, that's the way that should be. And that's one of the reasons Wanda and I, we try not to go and get in debt. We try to live as debt-free as possible. Now, there are times I know that sometimes if we have a building project come up that we need money for, we will, because I do have good outstanding credit in most places that I go, because I've always paid my bills, I can charge a small amount of money, a couple $100 or something, until I get a project done, and then Wanda and I will work to pay it off. And, but we don't believe in going in huge indebtedness just simply because of what the Scripture has to say about it. Because something that's just like has happened to me with health issues now, my life didn't go the way I planned. I used to didn't think anything about going to the bank and borrowing money. As a matter of fact, I've had up to 25 loans at one time and paid them all. Didn't have a problem because I was physically able to get out and work and do whatever I wanted to do. But now, life has changed and it is not the way I planned for it to be. I planned to be able to run a chainsaw and cut firewood and do all these things until I got real old, and I can't even run a chainsaw anymore because of health issues now. Wanda and I have to go around on our property and we have to find fallen limbs out of the trees, and we have to either take a skill saw or a chop saw or something like that, or sawzall, and cut this kind of stuff up for our firewood. And okay, unless a neighbor or something agrees to come cut some wood for us, and then we can rent a log splitter or something maybe and bust some of it up for firewood. But we've had to make those kind of changes in life because we don't have any kind of heat in our home here other than our wood heater. And we're looking for an upgrade to the wood heater now because the one we got it does a good job, but it's not real efficient. And we're looking for one that's a lot more efficient. We just don't have that kind of money. So we're just being patient, praying that God will work out something for us to be able to come up with a rear exhaust wood heater for our home, so that we don't have to have as much wood to heat our home. And that's because things has not went the way we planned. My home has a fireplace in it, which I don't use anymore because it consumes a lot of wood and it doesn't heat that well. That's one thing that I never thought about when I built the home. I put the fireplace, I figured I'd always be able to have a lot of firewood because we own land, we own timber. And it didn't ever cross my mind that I wouldn't be able to cut firewood one day. Well, now that I can't, we're having to change again and look for a more convenient way to heat our home. So all through life, there's going to be these changes that we're going to have to make on a homestead due to health issues, due to financial issues, due to marital issues. Some people go through divorces. I've been down that road. There's lots of things that we face in life that are totally unexpected, and life does not go the way we planned. I had the death of a spouse. I did not plan for that. I figured she and I would grow old together and life would always be like that. God didn't see fit for it to be like that. God has seen fit for me to have another wife that actually does a fantastic job. I could not have asked for God to be any greater to me than what He's been with Wanda. Wanda and I are like one person. I just did not think it was possible after I lost my other wife to have that again. And God is just amazing in how He works things out. So, if you've gone through any of these things, don't give up because God can still work these things out. Wanda's probably one of the most wonderful assets I've ever had in my life. Simply because things did not go the way I planned, God has made a new plan for my life. And it is just fantastic now. And I'm sitting here, today. I've had a rough day today, physically speaking. A lot of problems, but yet Wanda's in here. She's filling in the gaps with everything. She's canning all day. What more could a man ask for than to have a wife that's just that great? You know, I mean, those are things that are precious to me. And I never expected things to be like this because I had my life planned out, like I told you in the beginning. But now that my life is not going the way that I planned, we've had to make some changes, Wanda and I. You know, we have animals. I can't get out and wrestle around with these animals anymore like I used to. So Wanda and I, we're building some chutes at the barn. We're building a head squeezing system so that we can walk those animals up in those things and lock them down where we can handle them. Because we can't chase these animals around anymore. We just cannot do it. And we're fixing to have to start making some cutbacks on bigger animals and start, you know, maybe working more with smaller animals. Something that we can physically handle better here on the homestead. And you know, I guess it's been so hard for me to make this video because when I talk about these things, they're all personal to me. And I try to do this video and not get frustrated when I'm doing it. I want to be able to speak in a way that is, I guess you might say, more educational than anything else. And I don't want y'all to see in my expressions how frustrated I become whenever I have to experience these things. But life is full of changes, and we need to expect that. That's one of the things that I guess God is teaching me more than anything else, that life is full of changes. And you know, I watch a lot of YouTube channels now during the middle of the day whenever I'm not able to get out in the heat and do anything. And I'm seeing a trend in a lot of the homesteading things, and it's really starting to disturb me. I'm seeing where the guys are not really filling in the gaps like they should be. I hate to say this, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but everywhere I look, it's the females are doing all the work. And the YouTube videos, I mean, when it, like butchering for instance, I mean, I've been watching a lot of things because it's going toward winter time. I like to look at these new videos about butchering to see if maybe there's some technique I might pick up on that might help me with mine or something. Predominantly, 3/4 of what I see is the female doing the butchering. Whether it's a chicken, whether it's a pig, or it doesn't matter. That bothers me, that the men are not stepping up to the plate and doing their jobs. They're making their wives get out there and do this. And milking, for instance, milking animals. I look around on some of the milking videos because I had a dairy farm here one time where I milked a lot of dairy goats, and I look now and predominantly all I see is women doing all the milking. You hardly ever see a man milking anything anymore. And that disturbs me. I realize that they say, oh, well, I'm behind the camera. Well, you know, that's what they make tripods for. As a matter of fact, I'm using one now. I don't make my wife get out there and do this kind of stuff. You know, I mean, if she wants to come out there and help me, I let her come out there and help me for educational purposes, and I may do a video on her helping me, but she's not going to do the whole process, because I feel like as the head of my household, that's my job. Now, there may come a time when I can't do it, which is goes back to this topic here that I'm talking about. When things don't go the way you planned, it's good for a wife to know how to do those kind of things. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a woman doing it. Don't get me wrong with that. As a matter of fact, I give hands up to any female who does these type things. I think it's great myself, but I just don't think they should tote the whole load, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, and I realize on some homesteads the women have had to do things because of physical issues that the guys have faced, and you know, and me as one of these guys is quickly coming to that. When I get out in the morning, Wanda has to work right along beside me because there's so many things now that I can't do by myself anymore. I have these blackout spells that I have now. I can't just get in the vehicle and drive town by myself anymore. And that really irritates me now. Wanda has to go with me every time I go anywhere because I have these spells where I'll just black out. And that irritates me, that I'm dependent on somebody. But there again, on a homestead, that's really what a lot of this is about. It's about working as a team and as a unit. You guys that's been through the service, you understand what I'm talking about, how you work as a team. All it takes is one person out of kilter and the whole system's messed up. And it's the same way on a homestead. If the husband and the wife are not in unison, boy, it sure makes it hard. If one of them gets out of kilter, if one of them gets sick, or you know, like I had gallbladder surgery this past year, and it throwed everything here out of balance, which one of my All God's Children videos was about balance and moderation. This throwed everything out of balance for us, and we had to learn to readapt. And that's what homesteading is all about. Homesteading is about adapting to the surroundings and adapting to life-changing events when they take place. So when things don't go the way you've planned, don't give up. Just stop, take yourself a breather, sit down, reprioritize all your events that you got going on, figure out what's the most important, and then figure out how can I best achieve these goals that I've set for myself. Don't necessarily set long-term goals right at that point. Start setting yourself some short-term goals and figure out how you can best achieve those things and take baby steps. And when you take those baby steps, before you know it, you'll be able to take bigger steps. And things will begin to make more sense to you. And you'll learn how to work through things. You know, not only by yourself, but as a husband and a wife, you'll learn how to work through these things. So, I guess that'll be it for today on Porch Time. I hope it's been a blessing to you. And thank you for watching from Deep South Homestead.